Now, that brings us to the conclusion of our first week, and I just briefly here want to recap our first week. We began with an introduction to modernism, and note there that we started with the distinction between perspectival painting, the painting of the metaphysical age that began with the discovery of perspectival space in the 15th century, and which extended all the way down to the Impressionist painters, in which space is three-dimensional, and in which there is a single point of view from a single subject. This is the age of absolute subjects confronting absolute objects. To modernist art, which began to dismantle perspective and to bring in multiple points of view. Multiple points of view, multiple times, multiple spaces, multiple temporalities, all brought together to create the single hyperdimensional object, which is space-free and time-free. And that is the essence that we discovered was the primary achievement of modernism. Then we moved on with Marcel Duchamp with his discovery of the ready-made, in opposition to the highly theoretical object of modernism, which is a purely theoretical object beheld only by the mind and not visible to the physical eyes. Marcel Duchamp brings in the banal object, the ready-made, the snow shovel, that brings in the concrete commonplace object that he draws a phase space around, dismantles it by pulling it free from its functioning in the Zuhandenheit of the flow of things, puts it into a Vorhandenheit mode by putting it into the museum, putting a phase space around it, and putting it into a theoretical mode, where now it has become deworlded. A lot of contemporary art, and this is a complaint made by Jean Baudrillard in his book on the conspiracy of art, a lot of contemporary art is composed of objects and things that have been ruptured from their normal functioning. We will later see Joseph Beuys rupturing, pianos by wrapping them in felt, or he'll take a record and paint it red so that it can't be played, and he'll create a special kind of needle out of a bone. And this is his way of dismantling and rupturing the normal functioning of normal banal objects. So a lot of contemporary art under the influence of Duchamp's ready-mades does consist in rupturing the normal average everyday functioning of an object and dismantling its ability to function in the Zuhandenheit flow of things and putting it into the museum. And so Baudrillard's complaint was too much of contemporary art just ends up with this midden heap, this junk heap of broken things that have simply had their functions ruptured, and that is called art. And so Baudrillard, I don't think, was too fond of contemporary art for the most part. Then we moved on with Jackson Pollock, as we have seen, with his creation of, in 1947, the great drip paintings, where he moved out, he liquefied forms and dissolved them into his version of liquid modernity as the great drip paintings. And then after Jackson Pollock, we are concluding here with Mark Rothko, and we saw with his multiforms in 1946, and then the cosmos of self-luminous squares and rectangles that he created around 1949, 50, down to 54. His creation of the universe of self-luminous forms, in which abstract expressionism culminates here in a kind of Zen-like aniconism that eliminates all iconology, and we're left with the semiotic vacancies at the heart of Western being with his paintings that he did for Philip Johnson's Four Seasons restaurant, the Seagram murals as they're known, and his final statement of the collision between being and nothing at the end of his art. That brings us down to the end of class number 7, and that is the full week of the first unit of our course in understanding art. And next week we will shift modes and look at pop art.